Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, welcome back to another episode of Always Almost There, day after show live. Neil made it today, guys.
Yeah, I'm over 2 so far this week, so I'm getting one in. Stoked about that.
I know. I was gonna say, I keep coming on here, and I'm like, man, I miss Neil. Where's Neil?
Yeah. Hey, I'm here. I'm going to be a big presence today. Forget the million other guests we have. It's just
Oh
it's
yeah,
all
no,
about
we
me
don't
today.
have anyone on the pod today. We don't have anyone that we're excited to have on the pod today.
Yeah.
It's just gonna be the two of us. Just
Sure.
kidding. We have 3 excellent guests today. Not 1, not 2, but 3. It's a busy day on the pod. We've got our good friend Adam, our good friend Harry, and our good friend Cam, who is probably going to tell us that last night was his best show ever.
We'll see.
Them's the rules. How are you guys doing today?
Great.
Spectacular.
Amazing. I love it. Thank you all for being here today. We got 2 seasoned veterans of the pod at this point here, but Harry, it's your first time on. So welcome. Thank you for being here. I would just like, can you take a moment to show the people watching your shirt, please?
Yes.
I just think it needs to be.
Let's get down to business here.
Geese.
Okay.
But
It's actually let it be. I'm
So good.
gonna be the most confused looking fan tonight. People are gonna think I'm at the wrong show for so many reasons, Yeah, I had to do it.
wonderful.
That's the best.
Wonderful.
Everyone wants that shirt.
Yeah,
Everyone who
it's
just
true.
saw that needs
Yeah,
that
if
shirt.
you're watching this and you know who's making these shirts and how we can get one, please point us in the right direction of where the Etsy link is. But anyway, we had a fun time last night. But let's start with you, Adam. Your first show of the tour. Oh no, not your first show of the tour here. That's a stupid thing to say. Forget I said that. Adam, talk us through your pre-show vibe yesterday, getting to the show, where your seats were, what was going on.
Yeah, drove down from Orange County, picked up my buddy who lived in San Diego, went to the bar on campus, which is like about 100 yards from the venue. Total college bar, but like corporate-y college bar. I don't know, weird. Eureka. Ran into you, Ryan. Whole bunch of pre-show partying going on there, and then wandered in about a half hour before they took the stage.
Yeah. Pretty good. That bar, as you said, Adam, they were not prepared for Goose fans, which is pretty funny given that it's a college bar.
It was like a corporate-y college bar, like just
Right.
wasn't right. Like
you'd think they'd be ready for a lot of people coming and ordering drinks, but apparently not. Harry, what about you? Your pre-show vibe, where your seats were. You seen any other shows this year?
No other Goose shows. This was the first. Don't quite have the funds and the college budget to travel and do all that good stuff yet, but enjoying the SoCal ones. But no, pre-show vibes were mad chill. Took the train because public transit is pretty cool, and then just hung out at SDSU. Like I said, I'm in college, so it felt pretty normal. I fit in, and yeah, I had some buddies who had made up various other Goose shows that I was stoked to see. So I met up with them. Just kind of hung out, felt immaculate. It was a beautiful day. Waited for my girlfriend to get out of her classes. And while we were waiting, I got to meet Rick and Peter. So that was pretty sweet.
Oh, wow. Nice.
Yeah. Told Rick that he was my man crush and he walked right on over. I was like, dude, my girlfriend's not going to be okay with this because you're my man crush. And he was like, all right, that's cool.
I'm sure he gets that a lot.
Yeah, right. Like, yeah, I know. So basic. But then chowed down really quickly and hopped in the venue, a few minutes before showtime. And yeah, we had really good seats too. We were like in the, how the amphitheater, the upper level is like half of the amphitheater.
Yeah.
And then there are the 2 lower levels, which is kind of split. So we were in like BB, I think it was called. We were like maybe 10 rows up. It was really, really good view.
You're right close to where Cam and I were then. We were in.
Oh yeah, no way. Yeah, I snagged some $30 tickets before the show. It was like, totally the move.
Amazing, Amazing. Cam, what about you? Your pre-show vibe?
Man, I just waited for my girlfriend to get out of classes. Told Ricky he was my man crush. I flew down. This is me flying down, the hand motion. Flew down from SF in the morning and was kind of just hanging out in San Diego all day. Like I love San Diego. I just lived there through June, like for a little random stint. And that venue, Cal Coast Credit Open, but
Yes.
nailed it.
The venue.
That venue is the first place that I saw Goose. And I love that venue. And so I was really, Jess and I are going to be going tonight in LA, and we'll be going in SF on Saturday. But I was like, I got to send it down solo for that SD show because I got to return to where I had my first show. And I also went to my first show alone there for to that, so it worked. And I legitimately, Harry, also got to, for the first time before the show, meet Rick. And I didn't tell him he was my man crush. I just held on to that.
Dude.
Just regretted it the whole night.
Yeah,
Like,
missed opportunity.
You really should have.
Yeah.
You have to tell, when you have feelings for someone, you have to let them know.
Exactly. Tell
Exactly.
him you love him.
Exactly.
It's more show don't tell though, isn't it?
That's what it was for me.
Right.
I knew.
Yeah.
I just never said anything.
Just take your
You're
shirt
just
off.
like gazing. Whoa, Cam doesn't pop, Adam.
Oh, hey,
Cam has one rule.
Okay.
No popping.
You do not
It's a real
pop.
topic.
Do not.
Do not pop.
It's a circumstantial basis, but yeah, for blanket, do not.
Do not pop. That's the rule. Even in Southern California, do not pop. Anyway,
So true.
yeah, similar to Adam there, went over to Eureka, hung out with some good friends for a bit, and then headed into the venue, got down to our seats. I was really struck by, I remembered seeing in pictures and video from the last time they played there that it was like a very vertical looking venue.
Yeah.
Then like walking in and kind of looking down at how low the stage was, I was like, oh, it's like really vertical. So that was really interesting. But yeah, we were in Cam and I, we had a nice little crew down in section BB. CC, we're not BB. We were in section CC, slightly Trevor side, but on the inside aisle. And once again, I mean, it being vertical means that the sound and lights are just coming right at you. So the sound and lights were amazing again last night. I chatted with Getty for a second on the way out after the show, and he said like this is one of his favorite venues because I guess he just loves just being able to blast the crowd, as opposed to being out over everybody, which is really
So
cool.
like Red Rocks vibes you're getting there, but
Yeah,
maybe
exactly,
more steep.
exactly.
Yeah, right on.
But yeah,
But
definitely
way
more
closer.
steep than Red Rocks.
And then you can
Yeah,
just like
and you're closer.
Yeah.
Getty just likes filling the crowd with smoke, which he can now do at that venue versus other venues
I-
that are more horizontal in nature.
He needs to
yeah.
he needs to get he needs to be able to angle them and just like
Yes,
totally could
absolutely.
have got us.
And you know he would if he could.
Yeah, Neil, what were you doing around showtime last
Didn't
night?
do a
Were you
goddamn thing. I
sleeping?
slept like a baby through this whole show. I'm not gonna lie. I listened to the whole thing this morning when I got up. So
Amazing.
nothing
Well,
to add there.
I think we all agreed right before we started, but I'd like to start this analysis of the show with a sweeping proclamation. This is the best show that Goose has ever played in Southern California.
Easy.
Agreed.
Hmm.
Yeah, fireworks.
Fireworks.
Really, I love when that happens. Love when that happens. Well, let's start diving into the show here. Let's start with you, Cam. Let's do two songs here: Turbulence and Mas Canada.
Turbulence is one of my favorite songs. Always love to get a Turbulence, and I haven't seen Goose in a while, and it's been since April. So I was like, "Thank you. I will take an opening Turbs to start the show," and it was great. And I also love Mas Canada. Like Ryan, you hate my reviews of shows because I think everything is sick, but this, like, truly, the opening of the show, I was like, I'm so happy to be back at a Goose show with these two
Cam's
songs.
a vibes guy.
I love Mas Canada.
Yeah,
Always
there
down.
we go. Harry, your thoughts on the first two tunes?
Yeah, Turbulence. I called that shit. I gotta say, my girlfriend, she said California Magic. I shamed her. I was like, that's so obvious. I was like, we've got a big turbulence gap. It's coming.
To be fair, they do go for the obvious pick.
Exactly. Yeah.
I was
no.
expecting Cali last night too.
Yeah.
Shame.
But yes.
No, I'm just kidding. No. So Turbulence, I felt like it was just pretty standard Turbulence, but always welcome. Gotta love it. And then Mas Canada kind of started a theme of the show that I don't know if you guys feel a similar way, but I definitely feel like Goose played into the like Latin culture of San Diego last night. And like that was a very obvious one where they just went for it. But like I felt like I even heard in later jams, like they were definitely riffing off of the Latin vibes. And like this was definitely the obvious song, like I said, but I thought Mosquenado was dope, and I was like, oh yeah, very, very appropriate pick. So
There we go. Adam?
Not a lot to add. I mean, easy 8-point Turbulence. I did pick up what Harry was saying on the Latin vibe, but I think it's because they kept teasing or calling back Mosquenada. Like,
Yeah.
and you hear that a lot
Madavan.
in Madavan when they start really picking up the rhythm. So definitely felt that. Turbulence, grew up with Billy Joel, good opener. Yeah, I mean, it was the first of 8 openers this set, so they gave us plenty of time to settle in.
Yeah, listen, we talk about the 3-pack of openers a lot. Yeah, there were a lot of opening tunes in this set here. Some might call Turbulence the easiest 8-pointer of the tour. I don't know, Neil, did you have it as your 8-pointer?
No,
And
I
that's
didn't.
probably the reason why I'm still ahead of you.
That's
I have
probably
2
right.
points on you right now.
For those who have no idea what Ryan's talking about, right now in the game
If
of
you're
Fantasy,
watching the
there's
podcast,
hundreds of players.
I was gonna say.
The top 2 right now, well, top
Nope.
3.
You're in third.
I'm in third place, and Ryan is in first place. Not for long, but
No.
yeah. So Turbulence, it felt like they were going to play it for a while, so a few shows, and they finally played it tonight. So great. And then Mosquenada is one. I've said this a bunch of times on this pod. It's one of my favorite Goose covers because it's just not the kind of song you would expect a jam band to play at a show. And Rick always absolutely destroys this song. He has
When
like a
he's
little
reading his
extra
teleprompter.
something. Like, what's that?
When he's reading his teleprompter.
Well, I mean, maybe we've talked about this. Maybe he really likes this song because nobody can tell when he's fucking up the lyrics. That's entirely possible.
True.
But
we got second place in the chat here.
Oh yeah, that is second
Dude.
place right there. Yeah.
Oh.
So I hope Dude, either you or I win. That's all I hope for.
Dude, if it's not me, I hope it's you, and I hope I beat you. That's all I care
Aw.
about. Anyway,
That was nice.
I thought the song selection in the set was really good because we talked about like some of the West Coast crowds and especially some of the California crowds like to chat a little bit. And I think we'll talk about later in the show when they did a quieter tune. Like there was a little bit of chatting, but this whole first set was all like higher energy tunes, which is great because either the band is playing loud enough that you can't hear the people talking, or it drowns out, or that's what I just said. The same thing twice. Wow, I'm really good today.
It focuses people up,
Yes,
like
that's what I meant. Thank you, Cam.
Yeah.
Thanks for bailing me out there. We had a couple people right behind us who did not want to be quiet, but they left, so that was good. And then they came back later and we're talking again. But
guys
they
probably
left for a
are
while.
saying right now, like those 2 guys in CC just did not stop talking all night long.
Man.
Like I was singing, clapping.
Oh, I was.
one guy's doing bits into his phone.
Exactly. Well, next up, we got a nice little segment of music here. Draconian Meter Maid, 1 in, 1 out into Weird Fishes. Pretty good flow here. I was hoping either Draconian or 1 in, 1 out would, open up into a little bit of jamming, especially after the 1 in, 1 out in Montana, which was excellent. But both of these, around 10 minutes. We got 4 songs in a row that were all around the 10-minute mark. And then Weird Fishes, which is a treat to get for a second time this year. After it wasn't played for over a year. But this is an amazing cover. Love a Radiohead here. Adam, what did you think?
I thought they were fine. I mean, they're the 2 shortest versions. They've only been played a few times, but both Draconian and 1 in, 1 out were both the shortest they've played. They played them back to back. They never played them in the same show, which I thought was interesting. So they're starting to maybe treat them less new, like we don't have to spread them out. Love Weird Fishes. I just thought like you have kind of this chunk in the middle of a set that's all very monotone. Like it didn't feel like there was a lot of energy swings through it. If anything, you have a cool down that comes after 2 mellow songs you don't really need a cool down after for Weird Fishes. Like I would have rather seen something high energy and then Weird Fishes and then close out. But love Weird Fishes. Yeah.
There you go. Harry?
Like it's a mellow spot in the middle of the first set.
Sure. Harry, your thoughts on these 3?
Yeah, no, this was my first show since Santa Barbara last year, so I'm just like stoked to be hearing the new songs, and especially because they did they even play any of the like 2024 debuts in Oregon?
They did not.
Yeah, so it was like we were so due, and we still are. So I figured that SoCal would get, just a bunch of the new stuff, which I was pretty stoked for. Definitely dig Meter Maid. It's cool. And I like the bridge where they do like the hard rock, the hard rock part. Anytime when Goose does that, like everybody's just going insane. So
True.
that was so epic. And then they go into the funk thing. And then I thought that the jam in Meter Maid was interesting because it kind of, like Adam said, like it was very mellow. And like it honestly went back to more of like a Turbulence feel jam. I was getting like a lot of the Turbulence jam in that, which was kind of funny because like, oh, we just kind of got that. But I was just stoked to see that one. Then One In, One Out. I don't know how people feel about this song. I like it, but it's probably my least favorite of all the ones that they've debuted in 2024. So I was just kind of like middle on that, but then they went into Weird Fishes, and it's San Diego. Like I'm cool with a chiller first set, bring the heat second set. So I was cool with this whole vibe. And then Weird Fishes, who like I was really, really stoked to see. Yeah, pretty epic. So zero complaints about that one.
There we go. Cam?
Yeah, I got a similar thought on like just wanting to see the new songs. Like I really want to see Big Modern this weekend, which I'm absolutely sure we will. And I really wanted to see Draconian Meter Maid. And so yeah, to get it like right away in the first set, I was fucking stoked. And One In, One Out is it's not, I mean, I guess it would be my least favorite of the new songs, but it's one where I'm like, maybe I'll just have to
High
see that
floor.
live. Out of 4, yeah, I'm like, I really like the other 3, and maybe I'll just have to see it live, and did and enjoyed it. But to transition to our next segment of the show, the transition out of One In, One Out into Weird Fishes was really fucking cool, and then the transition out of Weird Fishes into the Mist was maybe the coolest transition of the night. It was like really smooth, and really liked that a lot.
Yeah, people are saying it reminded them of the Labyrinth. I didn't really hear that.
It's like the Labyrinth. It's not in the same key as the Labyrinth, but it is the same like notes. If that makes any sense. Like,
is it a Labyrinth tease?
I wouldn't say it's a tease. Just go back and listen to it. It sounds just like the beginning of Labyrinth, but it's just in a different key.
All right.
I think maybe you would know better than I. Your ear is far better than mine. You can kind of parse that out.
Hey, I didn't live near Berkeley for a while.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, on One In, One Out, does anyone else feel like it's going to become like a Redbird? It's got the vocal section at the beginning.
Yeah.
Maybe you like it, maybe you don't, but you get past it and you're just off to the races. I feel like it's maybe their biggest jam platform they introduced this year. Big Martin's big and it's got lots of sections, but that feels like it's just ripe for just huge open-ended jamming.
Yeah, I think we're gonna get a pretty sizable One In, One Out by the end of the year for sure.
Yeah.
Obviously at this point, I doubt we're getting another one on this tour. But I would say when they come back end of October into November, we're gonna get some sizable.
It doesn't have an ending, right?
No, it does not.
Yeah, so yeah, it's just like a Redbird then. Yeah.
Well, it's just like every Peter song kind of. Every Peter song feels like it has that ability to just like stretch out, right?
That formula where it's like I'm gonna be versy and songy, and then open it up for kind of you can take it anywhere.
So it just wants the jams. Everyone he writes.
Well, let's talk about this Mist.
Wait, hold on. I want to say a couple things.
Yeah. Skipping over you.
It's all right. I don't have any crazy things to say. I want to point out the jam in Meter Maid, which is like straight up Mind Left Body. Like if you didn't pick up on that, like at the show, like I definitely picked up on it. Like after a couple listens at home. Oh, there you go. John's got it. So definitely a little bit of like, well, it's that thing that they do where it sounds like somewhere in between Mind Left Body and the Beatles song, which is escaping me right now. Dear Prudence, thank you. So they did it like way back in 2020 at 917. They do it in the Elizabeth on that one. If you want to hear another version of this jam that I really love, and so they did a little bit here, which was like pretty neat. And like Harry was saying, that one section that they do that is just like straight math metal in this is like one of my favorite things that Goose does right now, where it just like stops like did it, and like everybody's just like perfectly in line with each other. They absolutely crush that. It's so tight. It's so good.
In there.
Yeah. Oh yeah, it's absolutely killer. So Meter Maid, like definitely is, I don't know, I love it because it has an unpredictable nature when they play it now. You have no idea what they're going to do. And this little thing was cool. It was on the shorter side, but still really good.
Yeah.
And then just Weird Fish is just the best, man. That song is so ridiculously complex. Like if you just sit there and kind of like, immerse yourself in it when they play it. I've heard them play it live before, and they do it justice. This is not like a jam band taking a shot at Radiohead. This is like a real stab at Radiohead, and that song is not easy to play. There is a lot going on there, but I hope someday they can convince Jeff to pick up his guitar and play the third guitar part in it, because all three together sounds so.
Guitar Goose.
Yeah, this is like actually Jeff's chance to shine. Because it's not a super complicated thing. It's just a complicated thing, I think, to hear everybody and do it the right way. But
does it involve a C chord?
I think it's a a harder than that.
Damn.
Fuck.
But, yeah. So
Well, anyway,
cool section of the show, though.
Yeah. First set wraps up here. We get a first little bit of jamming in Mist, and then So ready to wrap up the set. Mist is kind of getting to this point where we're getting like 15 minutes of high quality, major key jamming out of a Mist pretty much every time now. And I mean, I don't hate it, but I kind of wish they would do something a little bit different with it every once in a while, and or play the ending, please. It exists. Cotter can learn it. He's never played it, but he can learn it.
Yeah. The end of the set, they had an opportunity to go a little longer on Mist. Almost like, you don't need to be capped, but like take that floaty section a little longer, complete it, and end the set there. I mean, that's a high energy way to end. I know we'll talk about So Ready. He's a great high energy ender, but I just felt like they could have reallocated 3 or 4 minutes from So Ready to Mist, and then given 10 minutes to not have a very, very short, very rare tune at the end of the second set. So I love the Mist. I just wish it went a little longer, and I thought it could have ended the set.
Yeah, that's one of those jam themes where they get into that like charging funk, whatever, a little bit of stop start. And every time they get into a jam like that, Rick is like, okay, we're done. I feel like that always happens. Harry, what did you think of the end of the first set here?
Dug it. Mist was cool. Typically, this might actually be my least favorite Goose song, just because I hate auto-tune. Like, that is one of my musical pet peeves. As one of my musical pet peeves is I just can't do it. But there was like no auto-tune, or if there was, it was very light. So I was chilling with this. I was like, oh yeah, okay, like I can get down to Mist without auto-tune. So I dug it, and I was like, that made me happy. And then, like you said, just a big major key jam, at least in my section, just felt like a big dance party. Like everybody was really getting into the groove with that one. And I think something that you guys have kind of touched on, like the California crowd can be a little different, can be less of like true jam band fans, I guess, like more casuals. But it's that one, like by then they had sort of like really won the audience over, as if they hadn't already, but like everybody was like completely on board. And so they had gotten it to a point where they could do a 15-minute jam, and like the casuals were vibing really hard. So I dug that. And then I thought So Ready, I mean, always, it's like the standard first set closer, one of them, but it crushed. This was another one where I felt like they went back to the sort of the Latin motif, especially with Peter's solo. He started off very slow and playing like a lot of these more Latin-esque phrases, really sick. And then just Peter's peak was like really good. I was like, damn, Peter, he was crushing. So really dug what he did there. So kind of a standard So Ready in that they're always epic. So it was super epic. And,
I'm team slow, and I pulled a Neil during Turn Clouds and perfectly timed my bathroom break to Peter's guitar solo.
That's how you do it.
Yeah,
Missed
Cam,
the
what did you
Latin.
think of the end of the first set here?
You know what? I felt the So Ready was a high point. No, I liked ending. It felt like a full circle. Return to the beginning of like the vibe of the set. We started off like a pretty dancey Turbulence and Night Rays and Mas Que Nada, and it felt like So Ready kind of like returned us to that after the Mist. And I agree. Like I'm cool with the Mist jam. going longer, but it felt like the very, like you guys all said, the standard "so ready to end the set" was it. That's the end of a good first set, is close it out with the "so ready," and we'll see you for a barn burner in the second one. Like,
Yeah.
Other bands do the same thing. It's okay to end with one that is gonna like crush and dance with this crowd into the break. And so I was super cool with that. Yeah.
100%. Neil?
Nothing much to add. Just to point out, the end of this Mist has excellent drumming. I mean, it's kind of like pulled out of like the end of like a Rosewood. It kind of reminds me of that, where Cotter was just going off. It was great.
Yeah.
And not typical. Like, there is that big section of Mist which you come to expect from Mist in 2024, which is just like, you feel great. Like, you feel like you've made all the right life choices. Like, you're just happy about everything. It's just like you've just watched season 1 of Ted Lasso 3 times in a row. Like, everything's like, it's so good. And like, that's what you come to expect from Mist. And then they tack on the end of this, just that really killer drumming session, which you said they kind of just like pulled the plug on, which was kind of a bummer. But other than that, good stuff, man.
Good stuff.
It's actually not a short Mist though. There's only
16
3 longer ones. Yeah, there's only 3 longer ones, and one's the cap, which is giant. I mean, so it's like on the longer side. They got a lot going. I just feel like I don't think sometimes the length is as important as how you end.
Yeah.
Right.
And it's another one that just sort of
like if you end with the ending of this song that is amazing and like is so good. And how I mentioned that it's awesome. Yeah. And they haven't played it.
It has a lot of auto-tune, the ending.
I was going to say, it's a lot of auto-tune. I don't know.
Right. So maybe Harry likes the unfinished Mist, but they haven't played it since Vegas last fall. That is way too long.
Can I add one thing about the auto-tune? And Harry, I have been there with you. And this is a hard left from Goose. There's a docu-series on Netflix called This Is Pop. There's a couple different good episodes of it. And one of them is with T-Pain. And it's the history of
it like the Usher thing?
Discover. I don't know if you've watched it or seen it, but like it legitimately changed how I view auto-tune within music, especially like from that early 2000s era, and it makes you love T-Pain. And so just a moment for T-Pain on the Always Almost There podcast, if you guys don't mind, and check out that episode of the documentary, because I think it contextualizes auto-tune in a way that makes it a little bit more of an artful choice.
There we go. All right. Thank you for that, Cam.
Wasn't ready for the highbrow T-Pain comment.
Good little anecdote.
All right, guys, I'm going to take off. Thanks so much.
That's actually why he was here. He came on this podcast. He wanted to waiting for the opening for the T-Pain.
It says right here in the notes over here, Cam-T-Pain stuff. So I just started
riffing.
Just doing what you told me to do.
Yeah. It's a good riff. Let's talk about set break here. Harry, how were you feeling at set break?
Okay, that's actually crazy you asked, because I was not feeling good. I had this raging monster headache, which was the only thing that like was keeping me from loving the first set, as well as the chronic whistler who was next to me for like 2 songs.
Oh God.
He moved, thank God, but so the headache was gnarly, and with the like no bag policy, a lot of people, including my girlfriend, didn't have their purse, so no medication. So my goal at set break was just to ask as many groups of middle-aged women as possible and see where I could get a little aspirin or ibuprofen. Found a lovely lady who gave me some. Saved the night. Legitimately.
I'm glad
it was Lisa.
No, it was not. My mother does not carry around ibuprofen. I'm glad though that the pill that you took from a strange woman at a Goose show was in fact what you were looking for.
My girlfriend.
What could go wrong?
She was like,
what could go wrong?
She was like, which one was it? And I was like, it's like this really long purple and green one. And she's like, what? Yeah, so got her. It's
like, it'll help with the pain, man.
Exactly. This will take the edge off.
Yeah.
No, but so that was a lifesaver. So set break was like, this was probably the most impactful set break I've ever had, because it took like something limiting my night to like took that out of the equation. And by middle of Mad Huban, I was chilling. So
you were ready. Awesome.
Exactly.
Adam, how are you feeling at set break?
Great. Went up to the top, got some air. It actually got pretty hot. We were 5th row right in the front, and the lights get really hot. So it was nice to get up and cruise around.
Yeah.
Let's grab a beer, cruise around, went back
Had a
to our
good time.
seats.
Cam, you?
Grab myself some water, went
Smart.
and got some water because I finished my water. Yeah, walked around, and a friend of mine who actually did the Montana shirt, Dead and Good Company, was there, and I
Yuri.
didn't know he was there. Bumped into him and chatted with him for a little while.
I didn't know he was there until he showed up at our seats after the show, and I was like, "Oh, it's Yuri."
He was literally in our section the whole entire show. Had no idea he was in the state of California, so that was like a very pleasant surprise conversation that literally went until the lights went down, and we both did the thing. We're like, "Oh, okay, see you later." And
I gotta go. Yeah, awesome.
and
Awesome.
so,
Yeah, similar. Just hanging out. Talking about the set, talking about what we thought was coming. It's been weird the last couple of shows, like predicting what they're gonna play. They've kind of not been going with the super obvious choices in a lot of cases. Like I thought, like Give It Time was coming like 3 shows ago. Thatch, a couple shows ago. Dean Goose the Band Trivia pointed out this morning that a 7-show gap, Thatch is on its longest gap ever right now. So crazy.
Can't wait to get it.
But anyway,
that's awesome.
Let's dive in to this second set, because this is, you look at it on paper and it's like, oh, fuck yeah. And then you listen to it and you're like, oh, fuck yeah. This is what makes this show the best SoCal show that Goose has ever played. But let's start with this Madhavan, because, you come out, open the second set. I feel like, oh, we lost Cam. I feel like, they had a big one to play after the kind of shorter one in Salt Lake City. But this was huge. We get some nice 2-guitar jamming on the front end. Trevor is the MVP of this jam for me. Really just want to highlight, you listen to the last few minutes when they're in that, just Madhavan build, nice long one. Trevor is just like destroying everything in his path. And you don't get, you get a lot more aggressive Trevor than you used to, but you still don't usually get this much aggressive Trevor. And it was amazing. But let's start with you. Who hasn't started yet? Cam. What did you think of the Madhavan?
Man, this is my first Madhavan. It has eluded me. And I, going into this weekend, was like, I just fucking would like to see one of them, if that's okay. And this was a really, really good Madhavan to open the second set. And it felt really good to turn around to Ryan and be like, it's my first Madhavan, to him and Lisa. And they were like, good for you. That's so cute of you to never see Goose enough. But it was great. It was fantastic.
Love it. Harry?
Yeah. Super cool. I thought that, they did a really good job after sort of running through the song and getting into the jam section, just letting it chill, letting, it kind of mellow out and then really building the jam. But I totally agree with what you're saying, Ryan. Like, I thought Trevor was just tearing it apart, and personally in ways that I've never seen live before. Of course, 2024 does feel like the year of Trevor. Like, dude is on another level right now. Really coming to his own in terms of like being one of the leading proponents of the jam, and we're seeing him push the jam way more than before. And his playing style is very different from Phil Lesh, but he's pushing the jam in similar ways to Lesh, where it's like he's going off script, right? And he's doing stuff that we've never really heard. And so that's really cool. And by him doing that, I feel like it just gives the band more room to explore. Whenever somebody else takes the lead, it sort of takes the pressure off of, like Rick, for example, and it allows other room for Rick to go elsewhere, which has been really cool about these 2024 jams, I think, and especially the ones where Trevor rips. So seeing him take more of a leading role, like that was easily the first time I had ever seen it live. So I was stoked about that and just felt like, yeah, they did a good job easing into the jam. And then when the peak came, it was killer. And then they sort of switched it back up. Kind of felt like for a couple of minutes, they were searching for something else. And then they just kind of settled on that chord progression that would lead back into it. Yeah, I thought it was awesome.
Oh, yeah. You hit the nail on the head there about Trevor. Very, very well said. Adam, your thoughts on the Madhavan?
It's funny. I'd written down Cotter, but I think it was for the same reasons, Harry. I think we were picking up on other people leading. and I see that a lot. There's a lot of like really loud like finger plucking from Trevor, almost like the Seinfeld. Like I don't play bass, whatever, but like he was very prominent with like some very loud stuff that I thought like was a nice counterpoint for the jams. What I really loved about this one, first of all, it's a long modded one. There's only like 5 longer, but they squeezed a lot in, even for being long. It told a broad story, which I think Modavons have been doing lately. It used to be very like loud, strong, energetic, AB jam end. And I feel like they've gotten into a space where they spend a lot more time in that, like, we overuse the term blissy, floating section. Here, I feel like they didn't let that run too far. They kind of like poked at it, and then they went to the Maskenada kind of strumming that kind of was a nice segue into a more energetic section. I thought that was a really nice build. It was sometimes that conclusion to Madhuvan kind of whipsaws you back. And I thought this was a very natural transition to it. But the man, by the way, it's a great set opener. Like just starting there.
Oh,
I thought
yeah.
it was exactly the right call. I thought it was gonna be Thatcher Madhuvan. I was glad it was one of the two. I thought it was perfectly placed. And I think the crowd by that time, the chompers either left or were into it, because I didn't notice anything second set.
Hey man, nothing
Neil, what
to
do you
add
got?
really. No, I mean, everybody's kind of already said. Harry was in my notes. I actually wrote this down because I was going to say the Lesh thing too. Every once in a while, you listen and you just like you hear like something that reminds you of Phil Lesh. It's not like him playing like Lesh, and he does this. He does this in this Madhuvan. He does it later in Redbird as well, where he kind of abandons being in the rhythm section for a moment, and it's just. He's another lead instrument out there doing it, which is, it's like a really interesting thing. And I think the reason why you think of Phil Lesh is because that's what Lesh used to do almost all the time. He was just another lead instrument out there in the band, at least to my ear. So that part was, pretty neat. And you guys kind of nailed the jam. So I'm ready to move on to Redbird.
Awesome. Well, Neil, I feel like, we're coming to you last on a lot of these.
That's usually how it goes. It's all right.
Yeah.
I
You just
like
got to
the
go to
last
more
word.
shows. You got to go to more shows.
Yeah.
But you're going to talk about this Redbird first. So please talk about this Redbird.
Yeah, I mean, this Redbird, I think, hasn't gone to the places that like all the Redbirds have been going. Still good. Redbird always crushes, right? The thing that I really like about this particular Redbird is, again, Trevor's playing. That was like the big thing in my notes, where it was just a couple times where I was like, whoa, like, holy crap, like this is not what we're used to.
Yeah.
And then there's like right in the midsection is kind of my favorite part, where Peter is on piano and has some like great interplay with Rick. It's beautiful, actually. It's really, really nice. But yeah, other than that, the back half of this felt to me like straight 2021 Clav Funk, and which was the interesting kind of a reminiscent jam of a past time that they don't really do that so often anymore. So when they do it, it's like kind of super exciting, but they definitely wore out that kind of a jam way back when.
Sure, absolutely. And I think, I liked it. It felt a little bit more laid back as opposed to like just straight ahead, clav shreddy funk that they, that was the 2021 thing. And I think that's just the sophistication and improvement in Peter's playing since 2021. He's not just playing, just block chords anymore. But I think your point about Rick and Peter playing off each other in this jam, it's really just, there's so much listening happening in every single bit of improv that they're playing these days. Like, and we've never seen them, we've been talking about this a lot on this tour, but that's the big thing on this tour is the listening between all 5 guys on stage. They're not like they're getting closer to that, all being a part of the same musical organism, as opposed to, Rick takes the lead and then Peter takes the lead and then Trevor does a little thing and then, Rick takes the lead again, and they're playing more together, which is the big takeaway here. But yeah, Cam, friggin' bird time.
It was friggin' bird time. I freaking love Redbird. I could not agree more with that take of them listening super hard to each other. That was really apparent last night. And like everyone has been talking about how great Trevor sounds on this tour, and when you listen back or if you're there live, and I said that to you last night, I was like, yeah, he sounds fantastic. But I agree that I feel like there is a level of it's not that like in the past there was like sections soloing, you know, and there still is a little bit of that here and there, but like there is this level of them finding each other. And I think that sometimes people in shows that aren't rated as high as this one, or jams that aren't celebrated as much as these two might be, people are like, it's a meandering sound, or they're like trying to find something. And that's the year we're in. You know, we're in the year where they have a new band member and they are learning to play together. Like, I mean, that's just in the when everything goes down, when we look at the grand history of Goose at the very end, like that's what this year will be. And so like there is a lot of good listening, a lot of good finding each other, and good improv, which is, I don't know about you guys, that's what we're all there for, to hear a band come together and find a beautiful moment. And so there are nights that is not gonna happen, or there are jams that's not gonna happen, and like that's just the year that we're in. But last night I felt, especially in these two opening jams of the second set, were like really exceptional improv and really exceptional listening. And there wasn't so much exceptional listening in This Old Sea from the guy that sat behind you, Ryan. He decided to talk. But the band listening great.
Yeah, absolutely. Harry, your thoughts here?
Yeah, I'm a huge Redbird fan. I've talked to many a Redbird hater. I don't get it. Where they don't like the song, they like the jam, which I get, because obviously Redbird leads to the best jams. But I'm like, dude, this in my opinion, easily the best Peter song. Easily, like, it's so freaking cool. Killer chord progression.
Friggin', it's pronounced friggin'.
No, it's friggin'.
With a G.
Ryan.
Yeah. We've got all areas of the country represented here.
All the representation.
Yeah, out here it's a hard CK.
Yeah.
No, Redbird was killer. Trevor, ridiculous tone again. And this was cool because it felt more like Patient Goose. You know, like they all kind of found a groove and just stuck to that, where nobody was really taking lead, but they were all working together. And that's like something that we haven't seen a whole ton of in prior years, as you guys touched on, where it was more like, all right, here's somebody solo, here's somebody else's solo. And that's what I like about certain jam bands. And, you know, Fish is like a great example of it, because they do it so well, is when they're all playing together and nobody's really soloing, but it's like one collective force, which kind of opposes the typical jazz thing, where it's like, you take a solo, now you take a solo, now it's his turn to take a solo, whatever. Which is great, you know, the formula that Dave Matthews Band uses, and sort of the easiest formula to get in when you're a jam band. So to see them really sort of break out of that and kind of hit on the next level of playing together is really cool. And yeah, I thought it was a groovy Redbird, funky, slower, but different, and yeah, dug it.
There we go. All this talk of formulas, you know, Neil, do you know what a formula does?
Oh man, don't do it.
Say it.
Jeez, no.
Say it, Neil.
No.
It dictates. Adam, you got anything to add on this Redbird?
No, I mean, just picking up on Cam and Harry both said the right thing on sort of this full band jamming that's happening. I mean, had it in Maudevin, had it here. It's like in jazz, Harry, you have bands that do that. Then you have bands like Bill Evans Trio that like that's a verb, like trioing. They play together, and I feel like that's what they're doing now. Like Fish Quartets as a verb, and like they all play together now a lot more organically. I think it's Cotter. Like that's the part that's a trip. It's you have a new guy who theoretically should be throwing all the chemistry off, and it's relearning. And we forgot we're only like 40 shows into Cotter. Like we could be talking right now going, I know it was a little rough last night, but don't forget, like Cotter's still new. We're still working it out. Like by the end of the year, we get there. And instead we're like celebrating him as the linchpin.
I don't think we've ever had that conversation.
Style of jamming, which is just like wild. Like that's all I have to say on Redbird.
100%. Yeah, I don't think there's been a single show this year where we've been like, well, you know, Cotter's new, so
like give him some time. What did you expect? You thought they would just hit the ground running?
You know, first show of the year, third song he plays is a 30-minute drive. Like, you know, whatever.
He was phenomenal from the jump. Like he was phenomenal at the cap. You know,
Yep.
Anyway, and we conclude this show with a lovely This Old Sea Factory Fiction and a Zalt encore. Love to see it in that slot again. I just want to applaud the band on Factory Fiction here because I was 100% certain that they were going to play it in LA for the 10th anniversary. And so I love that they were like, we're going to do some expectation subversion here. And we're going to play it in San Diego. And so that was really sick. Would love to see more of this from them. You know, sometimes we mentioned with the Cali Magic thing, like obviously they didn't play that last night, but you know, the last time or the first time they played in California after that song had been debuted at the Greek, it was like they opened with it, you know? And so it's like, you know, sometimes you don't need to do the obvious thing. And sometimes it actually works out in a really cool way to do something different. So obviously shorter Factory Fiction due to time constraints, but thought this was a great way to end the show, despite, yeah, as you said, Cam, the chomping during This Old Sea. Adam, what you got on the end of the show here?
Man, This Old Sea is perfectly placed. I mean, first of all, it's a 4-song second set. Perfectly placed, This Old Sea. I really like the new composition and arrangement at the end with the vocal return. What I liked about this one is it became sort of the musical return too. It almost has like a full conclusion now. I think the bummer about that is it feels less likely to be jammed now. Like some of my favorite This Old Seas just go wild after the main composition, and it feels like with this new ending right there, it's less likely to. But man, it's so pretty when it comes back that way with the vocal reprise. Like, are we talking about Factory Fiction now?
Yeah,
I mean, first of all, I agree. I love that it was there. But I hated that it was there because I look at my watch and I'm like, man, there's like 20 minutes left and they're playing Factory Fiction. I was like, I really hope they skip an encore. Just do it. Just like play a 20-minute Factory Fiction, close off with a bang. And they didn't. I actually think Zalt's a great encore. We'll talk about that later. But I just kept feeling like, man, like this Factory Fiction is not going to get what it deserves. And there's a moment, if you watch the video, we were really close, where Rick eyeballs Cotter and like, we're done. And it was probably when they were peaking, and I found the most interesting part of it. He just turns his head, looks at Cotter, and they're done. So that was a little disappointing, but I mean, hey, they could pull off a 12-minute Factory Fiction. Like, pulled it off.
yeah, they did. Cam?
Yeah, I mean, that was the downside of last time I played here. You know, like you're playing on a college campus, you got a shorter time. Last year it worked a little even more against us, where we have an even shorter show. But like, I guess like that will be one of the downsides of playing a venue like that. But you will not always get to see Goose at college campuses in San Diego at little venues like that. And so, you know, it sucks that they had to cut it short there, or like they end at the peak. I felt maybe the same way, but I was thrilled to get again a first Factory Fiction, and then. I mean, like, if that's the trade-off, like, I'll still take seeing Goose at these smaller venues, and I know it cuts the show short a little bit, or like, you know, they have a different day because they're at a college campus, like they're not able to have the same day that they would have if they were at, you know, a bigger venue or things like that. But it makes for a cool experience for the audience at this smaller venue that I fucking love. So I guess that is a little bit more of a review of the venue, but the Factory Fiction was awesome, and then got the Zalt at the end, which, like I was saying before, I want to hear all these new guys. So
yeah,
was stoked.
Amazing. Harry, your thoughts on the end of the show?
Yeah, This Old Sea, love. I mean, don't we all? Like, it's so beautiful, so pretty. Came out the perfect time, like you said, Adam. Like, it was just, yeah, perfect time to drop into more of a ballad, but it still had a lot of heat for like a slower ballad. There was some serious heat there, but it was so good. Luckily, no chomping in my section for that one, so just got to enjoy it in peace. And absolutely loved it. And it did kind of remind me, you know, not to make another Grateful Dead comparison, but it felt very much like the Hunter Garcia ballad slot that comes after Drum Space, where it's like, we're going to put in a ballad, wind down. It's like very sobering, come back to earth, and just beautiful. And then take off with the rest of the show, you know, give an insane rest of the show. So I just thought, like, yeah, this whole set flowed so well, like impeccably well. And that was the perfect song, perfect placement. And I loved every second of it. And then I heard the Mutron, and I was like, oh my, you know, just
it's happening.
Played a quick lick. I was like, is this Factory Fiction? and yeah, lost it. Absolutely lost it. The thing is too, is like the intro to Factory Fiction gets me so fucking amped. Like I don't even need the rest of the song. Like I'm just going, like
Yeah, just hit
like,
that riff. Yeah,
I'm like, open the pit.
Yeah.
I'm a metalhead as well. So like I said, when Goose does the hard rock thing, and like that is the best freaking of all of their hard rock stuff. The intro to Factory Fiction is
well,
so good.
that's spoken like somebody that hasn't seen Big Modern live yet. Just
That
for the
is
record.
that is
Tonight's
very
the night,
true.
Harry.
Tonight, we're large
I-
contemporary. Harry, I hope you're in the pit at the Greek
Yeah.
because you're gonna need to be opening it up a little.
Right. Yeah.
Knock over some seats.
Exactly, man.
Um,
Factory Fiction was so good, and I was just stoked to catch it for the first time, and also the fact that the Mutron is there, whereas 2023. Not to say we got weaker Factory Fictions, but we didn't. Like the Mutron wasn't in the opening riff, and like that's what I really like about it is you got just that insane tone from Rick, and then then it turns into the dance party. So I honestly I was just so happy to hear the song. I know it wasn't the best version, but I didn't care because I was just like, it's happening. And then, I thought that they were going to do like a 5-minute White Lights encore. So I was like, it's okay. They played Factory Fiction, like I'll take the White Lights. That's fine. But then they did Zalt. And I was like, are you kidding me? Like we're getting another heater and like, I was super stoked. I think it was a worthy sacrifice, less Factory Fiction to get a little Zalt. And this is also from the perspective of that I had never seen either of these songs, but I was really, really, really hyped to see Zalt. That's one of my favorites that they've debuted this year. So I was super stoked, and I thought that was like, if they're gonna do a studio Zalt, like that's kind of the vibes,
100%. Nice and tight. And it adds to the pile of we have 5 minutes left. What's a good song that we can close with? And it could be a jammer.
Yes,
it's great.
Totally agreed. And I think that this is like definitely among the better 5-minute closers that they can do.
100%.
Like if it comes between Zalt and White Lights, I'm taking Zalt all day.
Yeah,
of course. So it's like to see it there, to see that work, I was like, oh man, like this is epic. So it just capped off a perfect night. Yeah, really stoked.
There we go. Neil, anything to add here before we wrap up?
Nothing left to say about the show, but all of you guys you're all going to the show tonight, right? Is that true? Okay, so you going to the show? I can't believe I just did that without even realizing. So I'm so excited for all of you. 10th anniversary of Goose tonight. Just want to underscore that one big thing.
So
shit's going to be bananas tonight. Yeah, and this is like the weird kind of show that they like to do, which is it's the end of the tour kind of, but it's not the end of the tour, and
ultimate. Yeah,
it's the end of the tour before the end of the tour. So it's kind of like the shirt before the shirt. If you've heard about that one, but in any case, it's going to be a big night tonight. I'm so stoked for you guys. I'm staying up for this one.
To watch?
You
are?
You gotta.
Neil's gonna fall asleep halfway through set one on his second beer.
Have a cup of coffee. Stay up.
Yeah, I will do something of the sort. So we get all fired up. It'll be great. Twitter's going to be amazing tonight. So yeah, man, have a great show.
Can I really quick before we end? I want to shout out Naveed.
Oh, yeah.
I can't. Okay, never mind. No, I want to shout out Naveed. I gave as a joke. I passed this little toy banana to Naveed at one point. I was like, "Can you hold on to this for me?" And just gave him this little tiny plush toy banana, and he laughed and gave it to Peter like a phone. He said, "Hey, it's for you." And Peter went, "Ha!" And then at the second set, it was sitting in Luigi's lap on his keyboard. So hopefully,
that's what that was.
It's there again. And if you guys are close tonight, I don't know if I'll be close. I don't think so. But if you guys are close, just let me know if the banana's up there. It's one of my crowning achievements. And so,
of your whole life.
That was like a really cryptic Instagram post. It was like a close up of the Luigi, and I was like, "What the fuck is that?"
A little banana in his
tiny banana.
We're here. There's a lot on the table for tonight. Of course, so many bangers left. It's the 10th anniversary. It's gonna be sick. We're going to the Greek. I can't wait. I'll see you guys, except for Neil because he's lame. See you guys tonight, and we'll see everybody tomorrow at 3:30 Eastern, 12:30 Pacific to recap what is going to be an absolutely amazing show tonight. We've got some very special guests coming on, little high profile. Not that you guys aren't high profile, but a couple of high profile guests coming on tomorrow. No, really,
Oh, man.
Harry's the most high profile one here. Harry,
Yeah.
really quick, you have 15 seconds. Tell people about your podcast.
Yeah, it's called Harry and Dean's 5 Faves. We list stuff, but also do interviews. So if you want to come on, you want to do some lists, you should do it.
Hit them up on Instagram. Cam, you also have a podcast.
Harry, you should get some really high-profile guests for that. It's gonna be freaking sweet. I have a podcast called Best Show Ever, and there's no new episodes, but you can go listen to the old ones.
Woo! There we go. All right, awesome. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in today. Enjoy your Friday. Enjoy the show tonight, and we'll see you tomorrow. Thank you.